Hello everyone, and welcome to the Hitman 2 targets tier list video. I'm just glad that I was able to get around to making this video so soon after the first one. And wait, what do you mean the first one came out last year? Well, I guess you could say that I
kept you waiting, huh?
Skip it up and that up.
I think Reynard is a fairly solid, middle-of-the-road target. A pretty simple mission overall, and a premise that I actually really like for a Hitman game. Sneaking into a target's house, acquiring some information, and then killing the target as they go through their nightly routine. As I said before, it's a fairly simple mission, and aside from the almost comical amount of guards on site, there's nothing really unusual about Reynard's pattern. I get that this sort of removes the possibility for more unique kills, but for what is essentially a tutorial mission, it doesn't need to go too crazy. Even then, there's some decent ways you can take out Reynard. You can shoot her from the roof whilst she's either in her panic room or sleeping in her bed. You can poison the ventilation system, and poison her drink. It might seem like a roll of the dice since she chooses one of two options randomly, but if you're smart and have two poisons on you, then it's as simple as you get.
Target down. Well done, 47. Now get off the property.
Or you could get her as she's brushing her teeth and whilst Orson's in the shower, completely oblivious. A little side note here, but I love how the steam from the shower fogs up the mirror so that Alma doesn't see 47's chrome dome right behind her. Love little details like that. Or if you want to be an extra sneaky stepdad, you can sneak into her room when she's asleep and smother her with her pillow.
Target down. Well done, 47. Now get off the property.
Or if you want to be a sadistic bastard, you can take out a bunch of her guards, which will cause her to flee to the shore, and as long as you keep threatening her, she'll just hop into the sea, taking fate into her own hands.
Target down. Well done, 47. Now get off the property.
She's evidently not the best swimmer. All in all, not a bad target at all, just very limited by the pretty scripted nature of the level and by how small the map is in comparison to literally any other map. As I said, pretty middle-of-the-road stuff here, so I'm feeling AC ranking. Old Bobby Knox here has some decent kill opportunities. I really like opportunities that are able to get your target out of big massive fortresses and into more sparsely populated areas where you have a better shot of taking him out, which is why I'm quite a fan of the Florida Man approach, since not only can you poison his food,
Robert Knox down.
but you can also kill him with this fish. Allow me to demonstrate.
What?
Or instead of making a man eat some funny tasting balls, you can find Ted Mendez not too far away from that location and take his disguise to test out the androids that kill targets based on a facial ID scan, and once you place old Bobby's disfigured face onto the Wii scanner, Skynet takes it from there.
Target acquired. Robert Knox.
Aw, cripe.
Oh shit.
You can increase the temperature in this room, causing Rob to get his eye drops. But if you poison them, he'll be the one dropping.
No, what's happening? The pain!
Fucking hell, that joke sucked. You can also fuck up his satellite dish and you can push him off the edge. If you time it right, you can push him right into Sierra's path, taking out both targets at once. Which is a very satisfying kill if you ask me. And finally, you can mess with the demo car and make Rob's face even more fucked up than it already is. While there's certainly plenty of unique ways of taking Rob out, I don't think he's quite up there, which is why I'm placing him a B tier for now. I think Sierra takes it a step above Rob in terms of general opportunities. She starts the mission off at the racetrack, where there's already plenty of opportunities to get rid of her. The most obvious way is by taking the likes of a pistol or sniper rifle and firing a shot or two until you cause her to crash and burn. Or, if you take advantage of a little particle manipulation, you can send yourself right down onto the track itself for a more up-close execution.
You can just feel the tension in the air.
Target down.
The only problem with this, of course, is that you can't actually get off of the racetrack after doing this, aside from falling into the great abyss, so you're pretty much fucked. But anyway, you could also disguise yourself as a mechanic and mess with her car in three main ways. Fuck it up with some sugar, pneumatic wrench, or with an explosive device. This method in particular has even more depth to it, since you can learn that Rob wanted to plant an explosive on a competitor's car to ensure Sierra's victory, but you can disguise yourself as one of the Kawoon mechanics and instead install the bomb on Sierra's car, and so when Rob hits the switch, he takes out his own daughter, which is some really fucked up shit. And then of course you can take out Rob from here.
Please don't. Oh!
Both targets down.
You can disqualify Moses Lee, leading to Sierra winning the race, and from here you can do one of two things: poison the drink in the cup itself, or if you want to be a bit less subtle, rig the whole stage to explode.
Target down.
Or you can decide not to fuck with this at all, and Sierra will just begin wandering around the main event once the race is over. From here, there's three main final options: disguise yourself as Moses Lee and play a drinking game with Sierra, poisoning one of the shots. Just be careful not to choose the wrong drink, or else, you know.
Smashed Moses.
Or you can take advantage of the doctor opportunity. Here, you can either leave the doctor alone and poison the IV bag when he isn't looking, causing him to unintentionally kill Sierra.
Drinks after this.
Or you can do the funny way where 47 disguises himself as the doctor and is giving practically every sign that he's going to kill her.
I forget your name, sorry.
Dr. Reaper.
So, what's on the menu? Something that'll take care of this hideous pain in my neck, I hope.
I promise. Once I'm done, you won't feel a thing.
So what's in this thing anyway, Doc?
Mostly floral extracts, hemlock, belladonna, aconite. It's designed to be fast and efficient.
Fast and efficient. I like that. Wait, belladonna? Isn't that poisonous?
Yes,
Should I be concerned?
I'm not.
I don't feel well, Doctor.
Don't worry. It'll be over soon, Miss Knox.
Target down.
And then of course, there is the legendary Flamingo opportunity where 47 can disguise himself as the Flamingo Man. I mean of course, you can always just let the Flamingo Man go to meet Sierra himself, but that actually results in his death. And besides, it's funnier when 47 takes the Flamingo suit, since you get to hear some of the best dialogue ever written for a video game.
So, you here for a job application or what?
Something like that.
Nice. If you don't mind me saying so, your particular choice of attire is maybe a little, I don't know, off? For a job interview, I mean.
My suit is at the cleaners.
And you couldn't find anything else to wear.
Correct.
You must lead a very interesting life, my friend.
You have no idea.
And of course you get a decent kill opportunity here as well, which is cool I guess, but the Flamingo costume is what's most important here. So yeah, just based on the sheer amount of methods in which you can approach Sierra, I'm gonna slot her into the A tier. Not too sure if she's worthy of an S, but she is admittedly very close. As the clear main target of the mission, Rico has a lot of things going on with him, which is why I believe he deserves the highest ranking, but overall, I find that the targets on these next two levels just can't really compare to the two we just covered in Miami. First is the statue, which is yet another good example of the game giving players the chance to take targets from highly fortified areas into a less guarded area. And you can also get Andrea here as well if you time it right. Love that sort of stuff. You could also get an engineer's disguise and fuck about with a submarine, which leads to Rico sleeping with the fishes. Or if you're like me on a Friday night and go down to the bar to try and drink your sorrows away, you might encounter P. Power, a tattoo artist who just so happens to have an appointment with Rico, giving us the perfect opportunity to infiltrate the mansion with relative ease. A pretty decent kill here. But the standout kill here is of course the hippo. Overall, I think Rico is a fairly solid B-tier target solely based on how many varied methods you can use to take him out, so that's where I'm gonna put him for now. The other two targets in comparison aren't as good unfortunately. I guess we'll start with Andrea since I've kinda mentioned her already with the statue kill. Aside from this, there's really only two main methods you can use to take her out. Take Hector's letter from old Javier here and bring it into her office and then feed her to the piranhas.
Martinez is down.
I'm just realizing that this might have been a better time to use that sleeping with the fishes line. Fuck. Or you can go deep into the jungle to the shaman's hut where you can take his disguise and either kill her with the crane or the cement mixer. Aside from that though, you're pretty limited as to what you can do to take her out covertly, since she makes frequent strolls through pretty public areas which make it difficult to get away with much. Because of this, I reckon we're gonna shove her into C tier for now, although that tier is admittedly getting quite cramped at this point. To counter this issue, I'm gonna place Jorge in D tier, since there's only 3 main methods you can use, and they're not really that stand out in any way. Firstly, you can repair his machine and turn him into the very product he's making. This would admittedly be a pretty unique kill method if we didn't have something very similar with Zayden back in Marrakesh. You could also destroy his Wii plant, which forces him to head out to the cliffs to fetch a new one, which gives us the opportunity to send him on a Wii flight. And lastly, there's the toy bus, which involves us taking this hippie's disguise and getting some glue to repair the bus and maybe snort some of it on the way home. I mean, and also poison the substance hidden in the bus. Another major reason why I'm slotting Jorge into D tier is that it's just really not fun to reach this guy if you ask me. I always find this part such a chore, and this part of the map is pretty uninteresting anyway, at least in comparison to the other areas such as the quiet little town or the huge mansion. I really think that the level would have been a bit better if it was limited to the 3 main areas of the town, the construction site and the mansion, but I suppose that's more of an issue with the map rather than the targets themselves. But anyway, D tier for you. Daewoo is a pretty solid target if you ask me, and probably the best of the 3 main targets here in Mumbai in my opinion. Daewoo's building is fairly easy to infiltrate, so reaching him isn't much of an issue, especially since there's a number of different ways in, up through the elevator, through the construction site, or by finding a sick actor and taking his shit. Not only does this outfit look baller as fuck, but it also gives you easy access to Rangan's tower. Eventually he'll take you to a meeting where you can take care of him. Or you might want to nab a technician's disguise and use Rangan's biggest fan against him.
Rangan is confirmed killed.
Or you might encounter this rival assassin who's out to kill Rangan, and you can assist him by disguising yourself as a painter and thus give the Kashmirian a better line of sight. Or you could instead leave the painter unharmed, and just give him his paints, allowing you to assume the identity of the Kashmirian and take out Rangan yourself.
Dawood Rangan is confirmed killed.
Or you can leave both the painter and the Kashmirian alone, allowing the Kashmirian to take out Rangan while the painter works on the painting.
That sounds wonderful.
That shot came from the tools.
Or if you're feeling like a bit of a lazy assassin that can't be bothered to scale this huge ass tower, there's a couple of options that result in Daewoo descending to street level. Such as by arranging a meeting between Daewoo and Vanya, which leads to you dropping a boat on top of them. Or you can arrange a meeting with Daewoo and the Maelstrom, which allows you to drop a comically large cylinder on top of them.
Showing off again, 47. Dawood Rangan and Wazir Kale, the Maelstrom, confirmed dead.
I'm not the biggest fan of this map, as I'm sure you'll know if you've seen my previous map, mission ranking videos, but that doesn't make Rangan a bad target at all. In fact, after having gone over all of these different kill methods for the purpose of this video, I feel pretty comfortable slotting him into the B tier. Unfortunately though, it's only downhill from now on with old Mumbai here. Vanya isn't an awful target, but in comparison to the likes of Rangan, I just don't think they're on the same level. There's mostly a lot of pretty generic kills associated with Vanya, with only a couple of major exceptions that I'll talk about in just a moment. You could do some pretty generic shit such as poisoning her tea, electrocuting her in her wee pool, dropping a cage on her, or take a few measurements and then strangle her with a bit of measuring tape which doubles as a makeshift fiber wire. Sure, these kills sound kinda in comparison, but you could also continue the Kashmirian story thread and either take the role of the foreman, if you haven't knocked out the Kashmirian already, and wait for the Kashmirian to snipe her on the bridge, or you can orchestrate the foreman to visit Vanya himself, allowing you to snipe Vanya whilst disguised as the Kashmirian. I just got to mention by the way, I love this little mission chain. It takes a whole new spin on taking out your targets by just letting someone else do all of the hard work for you. It's honestly a really unique idea for a mission, and I'd like to see something like this return in a future Hitman game. Or if you want to go for a more direct approach, you can do a little bit of trolling and just, you know, hit her with a goddamn train. This is some of the most ridiculous shit ever, but by God I love it. You can even get the Maelstrom in this kill as well if you arrange a meeting between the two. And, assuming you don't have any other targets remaining after this kill, you can exit via the train itself, which just makes this even better. I gotta commend IO for allowing us to carry out ludicrous hits like this, just absolutely brilliant stuff. But, despite the two great opportunities that Vanya presents, it unfortunately can't escape the fact that she is otherwise pretty mid. Do the kids still use that word these days? I don't even know anymore. So yeah, despite having a couple of unique kills, she is otherwise quite forgettable, so I'm going to put her into C tier for now, despite my high praise for the latter two kill methods. And now for the Maelstrom, who has got to be one of the lamest targets in the entire trilogy. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I'm just putting it out there. The initial idea of the Maelstrom sounds pretty interesting, having to figure out who this elusive guy is by using clues you can find around the map. But once you do figure out who he is, you don't have much in the way of very unique kill opportunities. You can drop a street sign on him or poison his tea. And even when you know who you're looking for, once you know what his face looks like in his whole route, there's not that much else to him, since he just roams around the streets of the city. But I suppose you could also finish the Kashmirian mission chain and either meet with the Maelstrom himself or follow the Kashmirian to his hideout. The biggest real opportunity you get with the Maelstrom is by disguising yourself as a barber and giving him a real close shave. It's not inherently a bad kill, but it just lacks that spectacle, you know. Just based on his whole background and by how elusive he is to the point where hardly anyone knows what he looks like, I figured he'd have a bit more imaginative kill opportunities, especially compared to the other two targets. And yeah, I know, you can get the Maelstrom with the train as well, but consider the following. Shut up, I don't know if this is gonna be controversial or not, but sometimes you just gotta do what needs to be done. And so, keeping that in mind, I'm slotting the Maelstrom into D tier. If you simply disagree with this ranking and believe I maybe should have ranked him a bit higher, please let me know why in the comments section. I'm genuinely curious to hear other people's opinions on this target, or just any of these targets in general, to be honest. Janus has a few good ways of piecing out from life, but by the looks of him, he seems about halfway through the door already. A fairly solid way of taking the guy out is by using the blueberry muffins. Just hop over to Helen's house, sneak into her not suspicious at all basement and retrieve some poison, then head back to Janus's house, place down the poisoned muffin and let him eat his way to the afterlife.
Finally.
Mike 1, I have one civilian, that's 0-1.
A similar thing can be done with his tea, so there's that too. You could also fetch him a pack of cigarettes and finally teach the old man the lesson that smoking does, in fact, kill you.
As old Trotsky said, just as a lamp.
Or you can trigger some old memories of Janus's past, which leads to him checking out his old Soviet-era possessions, giving you plenty of space and alone time to give him a good old.
Death feels like an easy way out for a man like him.
Or if subtlety isn't really your style, you can take these explosives and shove them down a mole hole, and when Janus comes out to inspect it, you can take him on a nice wee flight. But of course, the main opportunity that most people probably go with is with the nurse, and while it's nothing really amazing or new in terms of gameplay, it does add a decent bit more backstory and does add to the main plot, which I can always appreciate. All in all, whilst not a terrible target per se, Janus can be a bit lacking, especially when compared to some of the earlier targets, and so I think I'll put Janus into C tier, for now. Subject to change. Now for Big Nolan. Wait, hang on a second. Nolan, mustache, bro think he. Unlike Janus, Cassidy actually leaves his house pretty often to go on a stroll around the neighborhood, which offers a few more opportunities in which to approach him. If you follow him in his route, you'll see him stop to take a look at the barbecue, and once you help to get that set up, he'll come strolling in to get his hands on some food. And from there you can, well, I mean, what else are you gonna do with food in Hitman? Alternatively, you can poison this poor bastard, taking advantage of his poor eating habits and disguising yourself as the realtor. From there you can take Nolan through the house and experience 47 trying to come across as a normal human whilst also blatantly hinting towards death in like every other sentence. A good way of isolating Nolan even further here is by placing a muffin on this plate here, which will distract the guard and take him to the bathroom for a couple of minutes. Or you could jam some sedatives or lethal pills in there, leaving just you and Nolan in the house.
Help! I need
But obviously the main appeal with this one is the underground safe where you can activate the lasers, giving Nolan quite the fright.
No, don't turn
Or instead of being a dickhead to this poor guy, you can just keep feeding him muffins until he decides to actually do his job, which leads to him taking Nolan around the house, and if you're cunning enough, you can infiltrate there and take him out however you wish. Or you could go the fumigator route and take out the whole house with chloroform, allowing you to get in there and do a quick old snap-a-roo and get out of there before anyone finds him. Or if you really want to cause mayhem, you could of course just dump some lethal poison in there and take out all of them. Or you could go around Cassidy's property, taking out all of the cameras, which causes him to meet with Janus, which gives you a couple of opportunities. You can use the demo blocks in the garden like I mentioned earlier, which will take out the two of them. Or if you want to get a bit more personable while still being far away, you can take a sniper along with you and head to this treehouse and pick him off from there. Always glad to see the use of a sniper rifle in these games, and it can also serve as a nice little callback to Blood Money. But my personal favorite trick with Nolan is to take the micro taser and shove it in his mailbox. And when he checks it out, he gets quite the shock. Fucking hell, that was hilarious. But anyway, I think Nolan is just ever slightly better than Janus, and so I'll place him into B tier. And now for the Ark Society. While I don't think the map is that bad, the targets have a lot to be desired in my opinion, especially with Zoe here. Unless I'm forgetting something, there are 3 main unique ways of killing her. Which, for a map this massive, seems a little underwhelming. The one thing that Zoe does have going for her right off the bat is that she's a good bit more accessible than Sophia, since even if you get the disguise of a lowly guard or waiter, you should be able to get a good eye on her for really as long as you need to find a good opportunity for approach. I imagine the one that Zoe is best known for is the effigy kill, where you disguise yourself as the master of ceremonies and either rig the effigy to trap her inside or, you know, shoot her with a fucking cannon. God, I love this game with how stupid it can be sometimes. Or you could instead go through the enjoyable process of collecting these shitty initiation coin things and get brought into this room where they hook you up to a lie detector. If you're simply looking to climb that Illuminati ladder and get these sweet robes, fair play to you, but if you instead lie at every possible turn, you'll eventually cause a malfunction with the chair, leading Zoe to get that final zap, taking her out in an honestly really unique way. And last but not least is of course the funeral, wake thing, which serves as yet another nice callback to Blood Money and also provides a solid enough opportunity to take out Zoe. You can either snap her neck or, if you bothered to retrieve the burial dagger from the warehouse, you can stab the bitch instead. It's not to say that these kills aren't fucking awesome and unique in their own way, but I think it's more just due to the lack of kill opportunities for both sisters that doesn't lead me to think too highly of them. As harsh as I've been, I do believe she does still deserve a B tier solely because of just how unique the kill opportunities are. Sophia, in my opinion, is slightly better, but not by much. The main one that I imagine most people remember is the necklace kill, where you disguise yourself as not Nathan Drake and put the necklace around her. Or you can get another poison opportunity if you disguise yourself as this absolute pimp and go to this super secret rich wanker meeting. Following a toast, she'll take a wee drink and head on out of existence. Or, instead, you could vote against the movement, which leads Sophia to taking you up to the top penthouse level where you can shove her into this Iron Maiden, which has got to be one of the most unexpected kills I've seen in a while. Did not expect to see that when I booted this level up for the first time. There's also a big fucking broadsword over here, and a couple of axes, so you could very well use those instead of the Iron Maiden. But when you've got a medieval execution device just laying there, you may as well take advantage of it, you know. Or you can set up a meeting between her and the Constant. Of course you can kill her once she's there, or you can take her out in a tragic accident where she gets hit on the head with a gargoyle traveling at terminal velocity. Happens to the best of us, Chief. But yeah, same ranking with Zoe on this one, B tier. Ironically, for a target basically stuck to one main room, Athena has a fair few kill opportunities, arguably more than the Washington sisters. The main kill here is obviously the window kill, but there's a lot of different ways of going about doing that. You could nab a guard disguise, clear out the room and chuck her out, or you could disguise yourself as the fired banker and fire her out of the window, or you can fuck about with the Wi-Fi and get one of the IT guys' disguises and do the same thing. But instead of pushing her out, maybe you use a screwdriver to loosen this panel and...
Scurrying about in their miserable...
Or you could also retrieve some Cronkite reports, which results in Athena leaving her office and going into this small room, which gives you plenty of opportunity to. Instead of going through the hassle of the Cronkite report, you could also just crash the stock market, which does the exact same thing. Or if you want to be a bit more stealthy about it, you can shoot her through this one-way mirror. I mean, you could also just shoot her from the other side of the mirror, but that is, shall we say, rather frowned upon. Or you could bring up some vodka to Athena's office and poison that shit. You can also kill her with this award thing, which is pretty sick. Whilst there's not really many crazy unique kills for Athena herself, she does have that extra bit of variety that I found very lacking about the previous two targets, and so, for that reason, I'm gonna put her into B tier. Tyson is sort of similar to Athena in the sense that he's very secluded and will usually be confined to one area, except Tyson has a gigantic mansion that he roams about, whereas Athena was confined to like 2 or 3 rooms maximum. And because you're dealing with a huge mansion, villa thing, there's plenty of opportunities which naturally present themselves. During your stay at Haven, you'll likely overhear that a doctor has been called in to visit Mr. Williams, and so naturally we are going to ensure that that doctor pulls up to the estate with no hair, a barcode on the back of his head, and a facial expression that just screams, "I'm going to kill you." Once you get inside, you have a couple of opportunities. You can either poison his pills or choke him out with the stethoscope. Alternatively, if you end up infiltrating the villa in a guard's disguise, you can find some opportunities such as this chandelier which you can drop on his head. Or you could head around to the other side of this screen and shoot the fucker while he's watching his shitty movie on the projector. The final main opportunity lies in the issue of the USB drive. Once you find it, you can either give this to Tyson or Yudmila, but for now, we'll give it to Tyson. This leads to you getting promoted and his other bodyguard being fired. Then with the room empty aside from the two of you, I think you can guess what happens next.
Tyson Williams eliminated.
Tyson's not a bad target overall, but there's nothing that really blows me away about him either. To err on the side of caution, I'll slot him into B tier for now, but since there's kind of a lot of people in this sort of middle grouping, I'll maybe make some adjustments to this tier list by the time we get to the Hitman 3 tier list, which, judging by the gap between this video and the previous one, that video should be out by 2030 at the latest. On paper, Yudmila should be a decent step up from Tyson, since she actually moves around a lot of the public areas of the resort, talking to guests, annoying the chefs, all that sort of thing. You could sneak into Jason Portman's hut and take him out, which will result in Yudmila coming in to check on him, and if you rig this trapdoor, she'll plummet to her death. And yes, that does indeed kill her. I mean, I personally think I'd survive that, but I daren't question Hitman logic. You can do a similar thing when she's going around the pool area. If you place a banana down in the right spot, you can cause her to slip right into the water, which somehow kills her instantly. Makes sense. Like I said before, she also frequents the kitchen, which gives you the opportunity to either poison some food, or cause a gas leak, causing the kitchen to explode. And like I mentioned when talking about Tyson, you can either give him the USB drive, or give it to Yudmila here. If you do that, she'll arrange a meeting with Bradley by the jacuzzi, which gives you a sweet 2-in-1 combo kill. Or you could instead opt to give Yudmila a massage, snapping her neck during it. Interesting that she doesn't think to question that the masseurs looks a hell of a lot like Mr. Reaper, who she just met about 20 minutes ago to discuss the issue of the USB drive, but whatever. Guess I'll place Yudmila into B tier as well. And now for Stephen Bradley, the last target for Hitman 2 and by far one of the most underwhelming ones. Bradley kind of reminds me of targets like the Maelstrom or Franco. If he simply wasn't in the mission, I actually think it would have been to its benefit. Unlike Tyson, Steven here doesn't exactly remain confined to one area, but he's not really like Yudmila, who mostly goes around public areas, as Steven is in this frustrating middle ground of alternating between private and public areas, and the limited amount of kill opportunities you have with him almost makes him feel like a bit of an afterthought if you ask me. Like I said before, there's that double kill you can get in the jacuzzi, but you can also kill him in the gym by choking him out on the weights, or you can plant some explosives on his jet ski, and that's really about it. There is one final kill that I have yet to mention, however, and that is the one in which you cause a server shutdown in the secret facility under Tyson's villa, which causes the 3 targets to head there to fix it, giving you the opportunity to take them all out at once. Unfortunately, this isn't enough to erase the fact that Stephen Bradley here is a bit of a shite target, and so, I'm gonna place him in D tier. And there you have it, there's the updated tier list, now accounting for the mainline Hitman 2 targets, and it's interesting to see just how many of these are in the B and C tiers. Might need to do something about that. Consider offering your thoughts about these rankings in the comments below. Are there targets that should be in a different tier, and, if so, why? Genuinely curious to hear any thoughts that you may have. But anyway, I've spewed enough shite for one day, so that'll wrap things up here. Next tier list video should be out sometime between now and the robot uprising. Probably. Have a good one.